All right. So I'm in Maracas St. Joseph, and I'm with Dalia Gabriel, Dr. Dalia Gabriel, and I'm here to to get the story from her on what really would have transpired, because you know me, I just go behind the scene to find out what was the real story that was not being told to the general public, because things are being put in the public domain and people don't know the truth. They only hear in parts and parts and parts. And I like to do things, if it's part 1, part 2, part 3, so that people understand what would have transpired from the beginning to now. So, but before we go into this part of it, who is Dalia Gabriel?
Okay, so well, I'm a 33-year-old woman pursuing her dream of practicing medicine in her own home country, and I grew up in this community, Maracas St. Joseph. I was born and raised in this area, attended primary school in this area, attended secondary school in San Juan and also in St. Augustine, and did an undergrad degree before I went on to study medicine. I come from a large family. I have 5 brothers, 2 sisters, and I'm the 7th of 8 children.
So you're the last?
The 7th of 8, second to last.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and grew up mainly single parented and got assistance from the government to attend the tertiary education through the GATE program, right? Yeah, so that is basically who I am. I am single, unmarried, no children, just a career-oriented woman and an advocate for human rights and justice. Yeah, that's so the most recent.
So you're the first out of the 8 to become a doctor?
Yes, I'm the first. I'm a pioneer professional, academic professional in my immediate and to a certain extent extended family. Yeah. So
okay, so becoming a doctor, everybody was proud.
Yes.
That you actually became a doctor.
Well, I would like to hope so. I would like to believe that.
Well, I think anybody would be proud to know. Okay, my sister or my
daughter,
my cousin is a doctor. So if anything happened to me, I could run by she and well, that if you go charge them. But but how has it been? Because I want to talk about the experiences first before I get into the actual meat of this thing, because there's a perception in Trinidad that African or people who are black or African are given a hard time to get into UWI to study to be a doctor, 1. And 2, what was your experience as a black person, or what we call an African, because some people don't say black, but as an African attending UWI in the medical fraternity?
Okay, right. So just to clarify, I never got into UWI medical school, even though I applied. And I live in Maracas St. Joseph. UWI medical school is a stone's throw away from here, but I had to go halfway across the Atlantic to the UK, and a lot of expense. It was, away from family, a young adult. It was challenging, but it was, it has an adventurous portion to it that I enjoyed, yes. But looking back on it, being a bit retrospective, I'm thinking why I even had to endure all of this.
So you get the opportunity to go outside in England
and Grenada. So the school is St. George's University, located
and also in Grenada.
But I chose to do a program that they had where you could do your basic medical training in the UK. So you start off medical school there. You get a diploma in medical sciences from a university called Northumbria University in Newcastle. and then you continue your medical training in Grenada and then clinical training either in the US or in the UK, and I opted for the UK again. So I did a few of my time in the UK.
But the standards in St. George's College, St. George's University is much higher than the one in the University of the West Indies. Welcome most people.
In medical school, well, I don't know, I never trained in medical school, so I cannot compare these two medical schools.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah, being international and, you know, being an internationally recognized program as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course, it should be. And then you train in first world countries, the UK, the US, in terms of medical care.
So when you came back here and your experiences, you gained those experiences, they would have watched you as though you may be think that you're brighter than them, or
I don't know what was going through their head. I just returned home to train and to, you know, reap the fruit of my labor. That is all that I came for, to secure my daily bread, to reap my reward. I worked hard. I worked extremely hard. I sacrificed a lot to accomplish what I achieved, knowing that I'm the first pioneer doctor in my family. I came from a single parent. It was hard. It was hard in every way.
And so you finished school because you had to endure going from Grenada to UK.
Yes, back and forth.
Back and forth.
Coming home, Trinidad sometimes.
For times to actually, because of the...
Although I don't think I ever really came home for Christmas and thing. I couldn't even afford it. So I would stay on my own, either in the UK, that cold place in the snow by myself, or in Grenada by myself. I spent Christmas like that. So for many years, I was out of the country for Christmas. Yeah, out of the country. Yeah, so all that, I missed out on a lot, I think, maybe.
So, you accomplished, where was the graduation held?
In the US. I did attend my graduation. In the US, in New York.
In USA?
Yeah, in the USA.
So it's from England to Grenada, back to Grenada sometime, now to USA?
Yeah, yes.
To get your certification?
Yeah.
Okay, and this was when?
I graduated in August 2015.
2015. So your mother and
no, we couldn't afford it. It was only me, and I had relatives abroad who came and supported me. But my immediate people around here, no, we couldn't afford it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you became the doctor in 2015.
Yes.
And after going through all these years of training and endurance to actually finish to the end.
Yeah.
And you come back to Trinidad.
Yes.
What then happened when you came back to Trinidad?
So I returned to Trinidad in 2015, yes, around that August 2015. Applied to the Ministry of Health to start my internship as soon as possible. I know that so for the next batch of interns, I was lucky to get into the January 2016 batch. And so I waited. I started on January 1st, New Year's Day 2016. That was my initial internship opportunity. Right? Started there 2016, but so I also experienced a termination back in 2016.
In 2016 itself?
In 2016 itself. Right, because of an interaction with one of my senior ranked doctors, where I just had a question to ask him, like I was confused about something, and he thought I offended him, and he took it to the consultant, and then maybe I could go through what
yeah, you could go through it because...
Yeah. So, in 2016, apart from different up and downs, I would just like to highlight the reason why I was terminated.
Yeah, go ahead.
So that was I was doing my rotation in cardiology, internal medicine. I was under a team headed by a Dr. Shari Khan, cardiologist based in Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex. Right? On that team, we had like maybe 7 to 8 doctors on that cardiology unit team. But I just mentioned the race, you know.
Well, you were the mainly African doctor.
Afro-ethnic on that team, right? And so I'd present myself. I was instructed to present myself before 8 a.m., so like 7:45 at the office, and await my senior rank doctors to contact me so that we could start the ward rounds or take care of patients or whatever. So I would wait, call them. This was going on for like 2 weeks, calling them. They wouldn't answer, they will ignore me. I'm calling them, trying to find out, well, where can I meet up with the team so that, you know, I'm a part of the team and I'm learning. That is what an intern does. An intern mainly participates in the care of the patient and is supervised by senior rank doctors on how to care. So you learn how to take care of the cardiology patient and whatever. So for some reason I was being excluded, and I find I was being ostracized to a certain extent. So after several mornings of just waiting for almost an hour and a half before they will include me in whatever they were doing, I confronted the registrar, one called Dr. Stephen Gulchan. I think that was his name, Gulchan. And I said, I feel like if I'm being excluded, why are you all leaving me out? I'm calling you all on mornings and you all are waiting hours before you even respond and inform me of where to meet the team.
But that would mean that they done hit the road already.
Yeah, they done complete those things and they just leave me on my own to catch up on whatever they were doing.
Right.
So I told him it was quite challenging, and I'm saying I'm an intern. I'm telling him to his face, I'm saying you had your opportunity to train and to progress and to learn as an intern. Now is my opportunity. And I think one specific incident where I know that interns are usually the ones that would prescribe the medication or whatever. Like I've seen it in previous rotations or whatever. And he is taking, so he's a registrar. So he's 2 ranks ahead of me. So it's intern, house officer, registrar, and then consultant. He's 2 ranks ahead of me, and he's taken away my opportunity to prescribe and to learn what to write and to take guidance. He's taken that away from me at the point of a patient interaction, and like leaving me just you know,
do nothing,
yeah, because I'm not, he's trying to tell me I'm not good enough, or I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know what you're trying to say, that I am let me get the term, that I am replaceable at any time, you know, like he could do my job, you understand? That's the way I felt, because I know I was being ostracized and excluded. So this specific morning, maybe in the 2nd week or the 3rd week of the training, I'm telling him, well, please allow me to just finish off this. He take it away and he didn't speak to me. So when I got an opportunity, I saw him by himself. I went to him and I confronted him and I told him like what I was now saying, that, you know, I should get my opportunity to be an intern. He had his chance, and I'm here to learn, and I'm enthusiastic about the job and whatever. He took it a hard way. He thought I was being insubordinate, and he reported me to the consultant, cardiologist, Dr. Sherry Khan. So on that said day...
Is that Sherry Khan related to Dr. Furjan? You don't know?
I can't say no.
Oh, okay, yeah. Go ahead.
So on that same day, they instructed me to attend a meeting with them, the 2 senior doctors on the team, for 1 p.m. So that was after lunch. I presented myself at the place they told me to attend. It so happened that the room that they had planned for us to have that meeting, well, the room that they prepared was an echocardiograph room, and when I opened the door, it was in complete darkness. So they just had a screen where they read the echocardiographs. And the room was dark. So I asked please, why this room is dark? Can we put on the light? I think they ignored me initially, so I had to enter, be seated, and maybe afterward. Afterward, they turn back on the light, the headlight in the room. So the meeting began with Dr. Sherry Khan degrading me in a light manner, very similar to the rant that I heard of Dr. So concerning Afro-ethnic people, right? So she starts, you are the worst intern that I've ever interacted with, and I will ensure that you get out. I do not want you on my team. And she kept going on and on, derogatory terms. I can't remember verbatim exactly what she told me, but I know I was feeling hurt, broken. In fact, it was only words and disgraceful things to break my my confidence of being a doctor, functioning in the field of medicine in any way. So when she paused, after about maybe 2 minutes, just degrading me and derogatory terms, again, in like manner that I heard that Dr. So speak, but she was just speaking directly to me. She wasn't just speaking about the Afro-ethnic. She was just directing
to you.
Negative way.
Well, you were the only.
I was here.
Right.
Right. So when she paused, I said, "Please, are you finished? Can I leave?" She says, "No, I am not done with you as yet." I say, "Well, I am done with you." And at that time, she threatened me. She said, "Well, if you walk out that door, I'll ensure that you never work in this hospital again." And I turned, when she said that, I was, my back was, I was on my way out of the door. I turned my back and I said, "Well, lady, you are not in charge." And I walked out, because for me to be just allowing this person to just be cursing at me and degrading me, she didn't allow me to speak or to explain myself, why I even confronted the Dr. Stephen Gulchan. But anyway, that was the outcome. She said, I will ensure that you never work again in the hospital. And in truth and in fact, that is what occurred in 2016. So 2016, on that specific day, I went to the so after leaving that meeting, I went to complain to the head of the department of the cardiology unit, and he told me that if I have any issues, I need to go to my employer, which is the Ministry of Health in Port of Spain. So he instructed me to leave the compound and not to return to work, because she told me that I am no longer on her unit. And I was asking him, so well, which unit should I be placed on? There were a variety of units, so I could have been easily shifted if I wasn't getting along with that team. But instead, they said, "You're not getting along with this one," even though there was like maybe 5 other cardiology units, or maybe, yeah, I think it was like 5 other or 6 other. So I was instructed to go to the CMO, to go to the CMO and to ask what is the decision to be done on this specific intern, yours truly. So I did go to him, and after maybe a month, so I wrote him. I went to him in person, and I was not able to speak to him. I wrote him formally, and maybe after about 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks waiting at home, my mother is asking why you can't go to work, why you can't. I say I'm waiting on response from the Chief Medical Officer.
5-6 weeks? Yeah,
just waiting on a response.
You wrote them?
I wrote them formally. I also presented myself maybe 2 or 3 times during that time, because I'm an intern, I'm training, I'm missing out on the class, so like the class is moving on ahead of me, and I'm just here waiting or whatever. So I kept going, nothing, no acknowledgement of the receipt of the letter, until eventually maybe, it could be longer, it could have been about 2 months or more. It could have been that, I can't remember. I have all my documents, it's just, but I know it was a long waiting time, and eventually he wrote me and said, in order for me to resume training, I would have to present a clearance on a psychiatric evaluation. So he instructed me to go to a psychiatrist, be it private, be it public, wherever. He didn't care if it costed me. It was not his concern. So I did go and do a psychiatric evaluation.
On what grounds?
I don't know what grounds he used. Well, he was a doctor, CMO. The CMO is a medical doctor, but he didn't even interview me. He did not do a patient history on me, He did not assess me in order. That is a very good question. On what grounds? He had no authority to instruct me to go to do a psychiatric evaluation. Not even in my contract allows for my employer to instruct me to go for a psychiatric evaluation. But I did comply. Because you wanted to be the doctor. Just I want to be the intern. You're back home, you're trying to make back a little money to pay back your student loans or whatever, to eat your daily bread, one's daily bread. So that was the whole goal. So I did go and I complied. I went to get the psychiatric evaluation, and the psychiatrist evaluated me, and he said this person is fit to work. I got clearance and I submitted it. Immediately the same day, as soon as I got through that psychiatric appointment, I carried it, I hand delivered it. So again, I had to wait maybe the next 2 months or a month and a half before.
For them to tell you whether to resume duty?
Yes, and even then he didn't give any response, nothing. So no acknowledgement of receipt, no response. Then eventually my brother advised that I go to the Ministry of Labor to see what they could do, if they could intervene, contact the Ministry of Health and see why it is just being ignored and just left in the corner there. So I did go to the Ministry of Labor. The Ministry of Labor organized mediation symposium or whatever. We tried that. We tried, I think, 2 sessions and it didn't work, or one meeting.
Did the ministry
present? They did present after after instruction from the Ministry of Labor. They attended it in the Ministry of Labor in Port of Spain there, but it was not.
Why?
Yeah, excuse me.
Why it didn't work?
I don't know why it didn't work. They were adamant about their decision that they didn't want me to train amongst them, even though I was given clearance, even though I satisfied what they instructed. For some reason, they didn't want me around them. And I was taken aback. I thought that would have settled everything. So the next step from there with the trade was a trade union rep to carry the matter to the industrial court. So I was able to do that, and it deliberated maybe the next 6 months, 8 months. So all this time we going into 2017, yeah. I outside, no job. I got a little cleaning job. I was getting $1,200 a month to sit in with a visually impaired lady and to cook and clean her house. $1,200 a month. So I went for I did that for a few months while I'm waiting for this trade union to settle, try to come to some agreement with the Ministry of Health. So so they came up in so more than a year passed now, and late 2017 we came to an agreement, a settlement outside of court, where I was allowed to resume, to restart all over an internship year-long training, to restart it from scratch on the premise that I attend psychiatric evaluations on instruction from the Ministry of Health. So whenever they instructed me to attend, whenever they thought I should attend, even though they had no psychiatric, they had no forensic history, well, that is the term they use
in the medical
field.
Yeah.
They had no forensic evidence that I need to be psychiatric evaluated, yet still they instructed that this is the premise on which I should resume or restart an internship and be allowed to gain a medical license. Again, my goal is just to acquire this license to serve in the field of medicine, and that was the only route. So I had no other route, no other option available. The only option is through the Ministry of Health. I can go private locally and try to get my licenseship. It was only through the Ministry of Health. So whatever they said, I had to do it.
But who would have made that determination? You consulted with your trade union on that final decision?
Yeah, and because the Ministry of Health is the only option, it was almost like I had to take whatever they said.
Choice.
I had no choice, no other choice. Yeah.
Did you write the Minister of Health?
At this time, no. Well, my trade union was representing me, and I was taking advice.
But you didn't write them to inform the minister that
you want to accept it? Yeah.
No, in terms of your victimization and all them different things, or any of that?
Yes, like
you wrote him?
Not the Minister of Health. I wrote the CMO. Yeah, the ministry, my employer.
Yeah, the CMO.
The CMO, yeah.
Okay.
The only time I wrote the Minister of Health was when he came out personally and terminated me. That's the only time I addressed a letter to the Minister of Health. Before then, all my correspondence was to the CMO, because from what I understand, he is the head of the internship, medical section and the internship. I never wrote the Minister of Health personally until he came out publicly and said this intern is terminated.
So he would have been taking advice basically
from the CMO.
From the CMO.
Yeah. He may not even have known of this first termination. You know, everything, I don't know. Because I think the permanent secretary is above the CMO.
Well, the permanent secretary will be the accounting officer for the ministry, or the Ministry of Health. So they would know, they would have word on what would have been happening, but it would be based on the advice probably again.
From the CMO office.
From the CMO office.
Yeah.
But the permanent secretary, and so the mediation would have been done through the Ministry of Labor,
Yeah.
and you went for psychiatric evaluation
Long before then.
long
That
before
was the
then.
instruction.
Right.
They ignored that I was fit to work and everything, and cleared that there was no psychiatric diagnosis that the psychiatrist could have found.
But
and he is a renowned and respected psychiatrist.
who is the psychiatrist?
Professor Hutchinson
Professor
from the
Hutchinson.
Medical Sciences Complex.
So they ignored his
They ignored his advice, ignored his diagnosis, well, his absence of a diagnosis. They ignored the clearance, the fit to work.
But on what grounds?
They had no authority. That is a good question, and that is what my attorney or my trade union should have,
Yeah, because
pursue
I'm
that.
trying to figure out, because I'm speaking out for my rights, or I'm speaking out because I see something happening. Somebody could just pick up in the morning and say, send it for psychiatric evaluation.
That is essentially what they did. That is essentially what they did. They had no evidence. They had no previous forensic psychiatric history on me. Nothing of the sort.
So, this would be...
So that was our Dr. Tilak Singh, I think was his name, or Clive Tilak Dari. I can't remember
But I'll get
CMO.
the CMO, who was it at the time?
And after that incident, the gentleman resigned.
After the incident.
After that whole situation where he refused to come to some kind of mediation in the Ministry of Labor to allow this intern, yours truly, to resume training. After that, he resigned. When I had to write letters, it was now to this new Parasram. So he resigned in 2017 after this entire... I don't think he waited for it to be resolved as well. He didn't even wait for it to be resolved. That CMO, he just absented himself.
That's strange.
That's strange, and I find that significant as well.
Did he reach the age of 60 to retire? He just resigned?
I don't know. I don't know the details. He could have passed for that age.
And he just leave and
He
go?
just leave. He didn't even wait for this matter to be resolved, this specific issue. Because in the process, I had to address my letters to a different CMO.
So you know adjusting it, you know how to address it to
Maybe
Parasram.
Parasram. I think they had an acting person and then Parasram. Yeah, they had somebody in the interim.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, well, I don't know how the acting that's going through now. They don't really have no teeth and they don't have no power. No, I tell you honestly.
Yeah. And they just go with whatever they tell them
Yeah.
in the office. It could be the secretary telling them what to do and they do it.
Yeah, because the actors and them don't really have no powers really unless
They're like
have...
puppets.
Yeah, so they have to get a person who's confirmed in the position to actually function. So, did you ever write Mr. Parasram?
Yeah, several on the second internship. So, well,
On the second internship?
the second internship, yeah,
So-
I remember.
So after the first internship, so
Fired and everything. The premise was to do psychiatric evaluation. I replied and I say yes, I will do whatever is required.
and everything
It started, and then it started in late 2017.
late 2017, basically into 2018.
Yes, and that is how I got terminated in 2018, August.
Alright,
July,
so
August.
we go pause there because this is part one,
Part 1.
and because I wanna go through it step by step because I heard the story. I didn't hear all of the story. And I keep trying to find out information about the story. It's one of the hardest things to get until it actually raised its ugly head in 2020.
Yeah.
And then I say, but look at that. A part 2 come and happen.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting anything to come out of it. So I was quiet up in this community, trying to make a living, selling my mom's ornamental plants, so I tried to develop a little nursery in the back of my home, producing ornamental plants, selling it by the roadside. I used to sell fruits and stuff too. I had a vehicle, it's not really functioning right now. I used to work PH taxi right on this road. That was how I was making it. And I'd say, well, life have to go on, I have to survive. And I was content to do that until, well, the first time I started to say, well, maybe I could get some redress was with when Ramsaran came and apologized. And her things were reinstated in the public arena, and everybody just bypassed whatever Ramcharan had to say, even though she made Facebook posts comparable to what I, comparable in racist terms.
Well, it won't be comparable because what she said was tantamount to genocide basically, but
wow, even worse maybe.
so let me pause it here because this part 1 we end, and we will start with part 2.
Part 2.
Because that's when we're going now into the second part,
The
where
second
the actual
internship
start
where the actual termination
took place.
Yeah.
So part 2 coming.